Let's take a look at how the Serie A stadiums face up to the rest of Europe.
Welcome back to the Pink Table. So what we're going to do today is, this is just a side episode just to have a look at the stadiums in the Serie A going into the 2021-2022 season. We know a lot of them. There's been some new additions, but the reason I want to bring this up is I had a look at the other leagues in Europe, and Italy is falling behind in stadiums. And I think this is a clear and obvious thing that we all know about. Good thing is Italy is bidding for the 2028 Euro or the 2030 World Cup, which would bring a lot more money in our infrastructure. And hopefully this will, according to Gravina, what he's saying is it's going to reduce a lot of the bureaucracy around stadium renovation or stadium building. So this would allow Inter, Milan to build new stadiums, hopefully Fiorentina, and we can see through that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through this video here on YouTube. It's a good 4.5 minute video. Look at each stadium. And then Elaine, let's give a rating out of 10 in regards to European standards. So what I'm meaning there is, let's look at Germany stadiums, England stadiums. Spain has some really good stadiums as well. So let's just give our honest opinion on what we think the stadium is, and we'll give reasonings to why. Does that make sense?
And we're like putting benchmark number 10 being the Allianz Arena.
In Germany, well, I would say, yeah, that's 10 plus. I would say a benchmark 10, we're talking about this stadium is, it's a world-class stadium in the sense that it can host events. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good stadium.
Okay, so not to European standards, but so we're not saying how does it face up to the best stadiums in Europe?
Yeah. All the best stadiums are 10 plus, like Wembley, etc. 10 plus. Like Crystal Palace's stadium, I'd give it a 10 as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that. It's a good standard stadium. That's what the 10 is. And then
okay, awesome. Understood.
Okay, cool. So let's start. So this is the introduction. I think it's going to kick us off with, the Allianz Arena. This, I give it a 10. This is ready to host Champions League finals if it was for correct capacity.
Yeah, no, this is without a doubt the nicest stadium in Italy. Almost impossible to get a seat. So yeah, you can't but give this a 10. Also probably the newest.
Yeah. Gewiss Stadium, they're currently renovating it. It should be completed by the end of next summer. The one side of it looks awesome. The one grandstand is still the old side. This one that we're looking at right now is still the new side. As of now, I'm going to give it a 7 to an 8, probably an 8. Once it's completed, it's ready. It's not going to be very big, but I would give it a good 9 once it's completed.
Yeah, like if you take a look at the size of the city it's in, you don't need much more than you've got right there in terms of capacity. But also beautiful stadium, and good on the Percassi ownership for going ahead and renovating their stadium. Like, lucky them that the city of Bergamo has allowed them to do so.
Yeah. So would you say 8 or 9 is fair?
I think still a bit high if we're going to be comparing it to what you think a gorgeous stadium in Europe is. I think a foreign fan looking at this would still think it's a bit of a smallish, oddly shaped stadium. I like it, seeing what it was a few years ago, but maybe not an 8. Let's say a 6 or a 7. Okay,
so let's go with 7 then. We move on to the Mapai Stadium. This is the national team's stadium right now. It's Sassuolo Stadium. Listen, I think it has the correct infrastructure. It's built really well. I'm not a big fan of the corners of the stadium there being completely open.
Yeah, the grandstand look is a bit strange, but like you said, for location, close to a major train line, in a city halfway up the country, it's great for the national team in terms of usage as a stadium. Not the biggest stadium, but neither is Reggio Emilia the biggest place.
Yeah.
So probably adequate in terms of sizing. Really nice looking stadium. It is sort of in the middle of nowhere. If you're planning,
would you say it's better than Atalanta's?
I think I would prefer the Bergamo Stadium, the Atalanta Stadium, the Gewiss. But this is it's a nice stadium, and I can see why Italy wanted to use it as the national team stadium.
So I would say 6.5, 7.
Yeah, also
7 as well. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. So we have the San Siro. So this has hosted many Champions League finals. It's a bit old. Like, to be fair, like, I'm a huge Milan fan. I go to the stadium a lot. I love it. The experience is great. The viewing of the field is amazing. The atmosphere is fantastic. It is a bit outdated, and I think they still need to do a bit of infrastructure. Like, I think there's areas on the third ring, on the blue and the green, that in the center seats now, they've just covered it with just
tarpaulin.
Yeah, because they don't want fans sitting there, because there's been a bit of a scare of trembles in the stadium, and it feels they're worried about the concrete crumbling. So that's reassuring. So just Milan and Inter are actively trying to build a new stadium in the same area. But the San Siro itself, it's amazing. I love it. For me, it's a pure 10. I don't know on your end.
I would say that if you're going to put Juventus' stadium as a 10, you can't put the San Siro just because of the fact that it was built so much further back. I would say the San Siro is not a 10 purely because of the fact that it does need a bit of renovation. But in terms of viewing experience, sound, and everything, it is the Scala del Calcio. It is an amphitheater. It is incredible, but I don't think you can give it a 10 as well. So I would say a 9, just because it needs some serious love.
So let's go Harvard, a 9.5 it is.
Fair enough.
A little half a point there. So we move on to Cagliari. So as you guys can see on the right here, this is Cagliari's old stadium. They just moved over. Cagliari's mayor was allowing them to build this pop-up stadium, essentially, on the left of there. I like it. It's very cute, and it has a good atmosphere, and I think it embodies Cagliari as a team. It's in the south, Sardegna, and I do really like it.
Yeah, I like it. It is a bit of a small stadium, even if it's not the biggest city, but Cagliari is not as small as Reggio Emilia, for example, and this is half the size of the Mappe.
Yeah, but I think because not many, like, Italians have a weird relationship with going to the stadium. So when they built this, Italy had a very poor attendance. So I think this was just to fill up the stadium. I would give it a 6, 6.5.
I would say a 5.5, 6. So let's settle on the 6, seeing as how we were both going half a point under and over.
So here we go with Spezia Stadium. This, I have, like, the one side of it's nice. Everything else is a bit shocking, to be honest. Like, this one grandstand that we're looking at from the view now is the only nice grandstand, and it's still kind of far from the field. Man, like, this is like
getting smaller and smaller. There's college football teams that have got bigger attendances than this.
Yeah, and like, Spezia just got acquired by American owners, so I think they're going to build on this and make it bigger. So that's fantastic. But right now, I would give the stadium a 2.5. Like,
well, if they're allowed to build on it, like, yeah, you can't give the stadium more than a 3. Like, if this team, let's say by miracle, La Spezia managed to qualify for Europe,
they wouldn't be allowed to use it. No,
they would not be allowed to use their stadium.
To be honest, I think I've played in bigger field stadiums than this. So the one grandstand here on the side is the only thing that saves it. Let's see if we can just see a screenshot of that. No, we can't. But yeah, I would say 2, 3. What are we giving it?
I would say a 2 or a 3.
Okay, 2 or 3 for Spezia Stadium. This is a pleasant surprise that I did not know. This is Salernitana Stadium, 37,000 seater. It looks like it's quite steep, like the grandstand, so it must have a really nice atmosphere.
Yeah, this would be one that would be really, really nice to see full. I hope we get the chance, with all of the restrictions that we're seeing this year and last year, to actually get this stadium full for a big game.
It would be great for myself and you to go there, and we can hopefully bring some footage for everyone to see what it's actually like inside. But from these images, it looks nice.
Yeah. Now, this is one that
it's going to fall in the same line as the San Siro, that it needs to probably be fixed, because, like, myself and you go to the Franchi a lot in Firenze. It's a nice stadium, but man, that needs some refurbishment.
Yeah, I wonder if it's got a similar issue here, like with the Franchi, that they see it as a historic landmark, and therefore you can't even actually restore the thing.
But if you look here, it just looks old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But still,
again, it was probably built in Italy's golden period of the 80s, 90s.
But from what I could say here, I would give this happily a 6.
Yeah, I would say 6 as well. Yeah.
It looks nice. It looks like it has a great atmosphere. Look at that.
Nighttime picture probably helps in making it look better, but
yeah. Okay, the Artemio Franchi, just as we said. So myself and Elaine Elaine lives in Florence right now. I used to live there. We used to go to the stadium a lot. It's beautifully nestled under some of the hills in Firenze. I rarely enjoy going to it. It's like a sinking ship. It's just old and rusty. And this area here, you can see these purple seats at the bottom. These are a new addition that they've done, that the tickets there. We've got them before. It's great viewing. But sitting in the curva that we used to go to a lot, it's very far from the field. This, for a team of Fiorentina that also just got acquired by an American owner, it would be great if they could fix it. They're just not being allowed to because it's classified a landmark, as Elaine mentioned. But there needs to be a lot of work here. It's a nice stadium, but it loses atmosphere. It's just not good viewing and not good entertainment.
It's not a great viewing on both sides of the curva. You're a bit far away. We've watched some big games where standing right at the curva, I think it was the Inter-Fiorentina game 2 years ago, where at the last minute, Fiorentina equalized on the other side. And you only really know it's a goal because of the wave of noise that comes from the other side.
Yeah.
From where you're standing, you don't see that ball go in. But it's an incredible experience standing in Curva Fiesole. It's, the Fiorentina fans are nuts. But
they deserve a better stadium, to be honest.
The stadium needs to be at the level of the fans. Like, the fans deserve a better stadium than this. Like I've said to you and to multiple other people, the Franchi would look 1,000 times better if somebody was just allowed to give it a paint job.
Yeah. Well, listen, if the Franchi could just do exactly what Atalanta did and just close the curva and build the curva and all that space that's behind there, and then just pop a little roof on it, it'll look great. But I'm going to give this a 4.
Yeah, any reason from me to want to give it more than that is purely sentimental because of how many...
It is, okay, so it is a big stadium. It's 45,000, so let's give it a 4.5.
That's it's hosted some huge games in its past as well. Like,
but if the stadium is full at 45,000, I'm telling you that 5,000 fans are not even going to be able to see the field, because the ones on the curva right at the bottom, you don't see anything. No one sits there, actually.
Yeah, no, it's hard to see. But even the newer seats right down at the bottom, if you get the ones right at the back, and you've got like these purple seats right down at the bottom at the edge of the field, if you get one of the ones at the row at the back, and you've got anybody in front of you who's a bit like me and gets super excited and wants to stand up every time there's an attack, you don't see the game.
Yeah. Okay, so 4.5. Let's see. So we have Empoli Stadium. This, sorry for me, the one grandstand they have is nice, but everything else is really bad. This I would expect to see in the 4th division in England, if that. And it's 16,000. For me, this is a 3.
Yeah, the way that it sprawls on and on reminds me very much of a South African cricket field.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem very organized. It seems as though grandstands were popped up here and there whenever they were allowed to be. So it doesn't seem very organized. The break in all of the grandstands doesn't add for much atmosphere to build in the stadium. It does remind me very much of a cricket kind of atmosphere.
Plus, Empoli are going yo-yoing up from Serie B, serieA. I can understand they don't have money to put into the stadiums, but Italy, for me, this is exactly one of the points that Italy needs to start assisting teams with their infrastructure, like have some laws or some. It also creates more jobs. That's another conversation. But like, Empoli is in a team in the highest division in Italy, and we play in stadiums like this.
Never mind creating jobs. Most of the people who are wanting to build these stadiums in Italy are foreign investors who are just not being greenlit to go ahead and do so. So it's kind of weird.
So what are we giving this?
You can't give this higher than the 2.5, 3 that we gave to
Spezia.
Yeah.
So 3?
I'd say 3.
3 it is. Yeah, just the field's beautiful, but a lot of sun. Okay, yeah, this is a controversial one. So beautiful stadium, just look at it, nestled in Napoli, lots of history, big stadium, hosted many big games. They've recently changed the seats inside the stadium, so it looks nice, because 3 years ago, I think they had those maroon seats. It was shocking.
It looked rough, yeah.
Inside like this, with the new athletic ring inside, it looks like a beautiful stadium. Outside, it kind of looks like a cage and a bird's nest, like made out of rust and kind of scary, which I suppose adds to the intimidation of the new named Stadio Diego Armando Maradona. I like it. It is. I think it can host big events, but yeah, I'm going through other factors that I know. Napoli being quite hectic, the fans being quite hectic. Outside of the stadium itself is not very beautiful, but inside it's nice. So
yeah, the refurbishment inside has made it really beautiful to look at, but the location right at the center of the city is very intimidating, but so is the building itself. Like you said, from the outside, it looks like a place you don't come out of alive.
yeah.
So,
But it is built in Italy's golden era.
And Napoli fans really do love it. Like, they don't want to change their stadium. They're happy with where they are. And it is a beautiful stadium. Full disclosure, it's one of the big stadiums in Italy I've never been to. So I really do want to go experience the stadium. Yeah.
But as it is, I would say it needs refurbishment, maybe outside. Inside is nice. The athletic track does take away a bit of the viewing. Like, well, we haven't been here, but like it's not the same viewing as the San Siro. Like from the Olimpico, it's a good viewing, but there's still the track in the way, which maybe takes it. But for me, I would say 7.5. There's a lot of history. So I'm saying purely aesthetic wise. So if there's any Napoli fans there, the stadium I know has a lot of history and a lot of great matches and a lot of stories behind it. But so that would be a 10 in history wise. But view it like outside, the fact that it does need to be refurbished, like there's a lot of things that need to be fixed there, like toilets, etc. I would say 7.5.
Yeah, I would say if you're looking at just the inside like this, you could be tricked into giving it a higher vote than the 7. But with all the work that it needs, I don't think you can be giving the Maradona or the San Paolo as high a vote as the San Siro, for example.
Yeah. So 7.5 it is. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, Friuli. So this one is the Dazons. What is a Dazon Stadium or something like that? Dazon, yeah. So I have not been here yet. We've been to the old Udinese one. This is just
Arena. Sorry.
Yeah, this has been refurbished. I really like this. This is like, it's not a big stadium, but this is exactly what Italy needs to do. Like for Empoli, they've just taken their old stadium, moved the stands closer, because this stadium used to be similar to the Empoli one, very wide around, and then they just brought everything in. And watching this on TV, I love watching Udinese games. Look at this. See, this I would say is very, like, I'm not saying it's better than the San Siro, because it's not, like, just the size, but for me, in a modern stadium context, this is close to being the best you can get in Italy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, like, honestly, but the San Siro as well, just because of the size and the atmosphere that builds. But if you're going to take that out and we're going to talk about the stadium itself, I would say that these modern smaller stadiums are probably better. Like, we gave the San Siro a very high vote, but what do you give this?
Well, that's what I was going to say. This is definitely a 9 or a 10 for me in the context of being European level.
Yeah, this looks like a nice German stadium.
Exactly. This is great. Like, I have nothing against the stadium. I maybe
go 35,000 instead of 25. Yeah. The only thing I could say about this.
But that's why I'd say give it a 9. But Udinese has done a really good job on updating their stadium, getting a good stadium in, and it's definitely paid off. I think this is a beautiful stadium.
Now, this is the model that Roma needs to follow, but just make it double the size.
Yeah, look at that. It's great. It's so nice. Look at this dome. It's just great. Yep. So a good 9 for Udinese?
Yeah. Easy.
Okay. So Samp and Udinese Stadium, the Stadio Luigi Ferraris, beautifully nestled in Genoa.
Udinese non c'entra.
Samp e Genoa. I like the stadium. It's a historical stadium. It's probably similar to the San Siro, built in the sense that it's built in the golden era of Italian football, 80s and 90s. I like it. It has the English style feel built onto the field. I would say
I like Ferraris. It's got its own charm. It's from a special era and a special style, and it refuses to change. They keep it updated. The seating's great. The atmosphere that builds in a big game is incredible. It's not always full, which is a pity, despite the fact that it's only 36,000 people. Because when it is full, like a Derby della Lanterna is incredible to see.
Gives me the same vibe as Everton Stadium. What is the name of Everton Stadium?
Goodison.
I don't know why. Like, it might even not look anything like it, but whenever I see it, I'm going like, I compare always the Goodison one. So I think this is a good level stadium for Italian football. Like, this is a good stadium to be in Serie A, and it's worth its place in Serie A. In Europe, it can host European games, definitely. It probably needs a bit of refurbishment, but I'll give it a solid 8.5.
Yeah, I'd be happy with it. Maybe not an 8.5. Let's go more an 8 for the Ferraris.
Yeah. We should definitely maybe go down on Milan's first game. Okay, so the Bentegodi, so the Bentegodi, once again, a stadium built in the 80s and the 90s, well, way before that, but that's just when it's gone through its refurbishment. Been outside it, so from the outside, it's just old looking. It's an old stadium. The viewing inside, it lacks atmosphere. Look at this.
It was built at a time where the most important thing was to put as many people in as possible and nothing else.
The running track is shoddy. The stands are shoddy. They haven't changed the seating. It's Verona and Chievo that generally play here. If they just made all the seats yellow, at least it'll change some atmosphere to it, I think. But this stadium needs a serious facelift.
Yeah. Agreed. I don't think you can get this more than a 4.
No, I would say 3.5 max, just because it has more seating than Empoli, but that's about it. Yeah. Plus, to be honest, the seating on the lower ring looks like you probably can't see anything. So that 39 is probably a 20. But anyway. Yep. So Verona Stadium is a bit of a miss. But anyway. Okay, so this is an interesting one. It seems like it has a bit of space there as well. But myself and Elaine went here, I think 3 years ago. We went to go watch the opening game, Torino, Roma. That ended 1-0 for Roma on the last minute. I really like the stadium.
It's one of those stadiums that has been very lucky in the sense that at some brief point in the last 10 years, I believe it was Juventus who was playing here as well, between the Alpi.
Yep.
So that allowed for a lot of money to get spent on the infrastructure, and Torino benefited hugely from this. It's a stadium that I really do like. Yeah, it was. I'm a big Roma fan, so seeing that game was special. And it was a hot summer's day, but the vibe in this stadium from the Torino Ultra and the Curva was something that is untoppable for me.
Also, walking up to the stadium, you can hear a lot of noise. Up here, this is actually where people can walk around, just at the top. So you see a lot of people walking. It gives you that Colosseum vibe, how it's built. And just walking in, the atmosphere was great. You can hear the crowd. You can feel the crowd. Everything shakes. Size-wise, it's a pretty good size. Viewing-wise, you can actually see quite well. I think it's a good stadium. I would give it a good 6.5.
Yeah, I would say even closer to a 7. Really, I don't know what Torino could want more. They don't need more than 30,000 seats. The stadium is relatively modern. Maybe it could do with some minor maintenance, like things like their restaurants and their bathrooms and some of the seating. But otherwise, I really don't think we should be expecting much more from Torino than this.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're lucky Juventus dropped dollar on the stadium at some point.
Yeah. The only thing I have against it is just behind the goal here. If this was just cut and the stands came here, it would be up there with Udinese's one. That's the only thing I have against it.
And the other nice thing,
Italian vibe.
The other nice thing over the Juve stadium is this is actually in Torino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was good. So let's settle with 7. And then moving on, we have the Olimpico. So you guys have seen videos of ours. We were there recently. We went to go watch Italy versus Switzerland in the Euro. The Olimpico, it's built in the Olympic Park in Rome. It's just north of Rome. The surrounding area is beautiful. It's green. The Olympic Park outside is amazing. Outside, the stadium looks beautiful. It hosted the opening game of the Euro. Inside, they've also changed this now. This is all blue, so it looks really nice inside. You can see our previous videos as well. It is a world-class stadium. It hosts Champions League finals. I would say I would compare the Olimpico to be very similar to the San Siro.
In many ways, yes. I think if you want to go and find the perfect comparative to explain the Olimpico, I would say the Olimpico is somewhere between the San Siro and the Maradona.
Yeah, I would say listen, the Olimpico is able, as we just saw, it hosted the Euro, to host Euro matches, Champions League finals, you name it. I would say that that's the only thing I have. Like, I would say 10 because that's what it is. But if we're saying the San Siro also needs to be renovated and stuff, there's maybe some things but
okay, well, look, as a Roma fan, I can get very to the point. We need a stadium that's more accessible to the public. Yes, it's in a lovely area, but it's not the most easily accessible area. The stadium that we're hoping for would eliminate the running track and put our fans closer to the stadium. So maybe not the biggest ask or need, but that's maybe another point that we could get with this stadium or our future stadium. Another thing that you learn from experience, which we both learned, is that the seating rows, if you get the wrong row,
if you get even number seats, like on a row with even numbers, like row 24, you're screwed.
You better be shorter than 1 meter 40 centimeters, otherwise you're not fitting in your seat. And we're both definitely not that short. So you got your knees up by your ears for the whole game. More like we have in the Roma-Atalanta game a few years ago, we've gone to go stand right up at the top. And
you can still see well. So that's what I'm saying. Like, let's take away the aspect of transport, what you guys need. Let's say this stadium itself right now.
It's too big for the current amount of fans that either Roma or Lazio.
But the stadium infrastructure right now, I would say it's a 9.
Yeah, it will. Okay, I agree. Yes, the outside is quite nice. It's maintained well.
It's a nice stadium.
The inside's maintained well, but there's just those small things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so 9 it is. And let's move on. I think that's when they were redoing the seats. So this one, here we go, Venezia. So Venezia have decided to play in their stadium. Listen, I'm happy they're in Serie A. I think it's awesome that we have another big city in Italy back into the Serie A. I think Venezia last played in 2000 when we were kids. But Elena Stadium, 7,000, like, they only allowed half their fans in with COVID, so we're talking about 3,000. This stadium is in the 5th division in England. I think, we've definitely played in stadiums bigger than this.
Really, with the 3,000 attendance, we've definitely played for bigger crowds than this. It's a very, very small stadium. It's very cute.
It's very cute, yeah, man. Like, I like how it's built on the water. It's awesome, but like,
in essence, like, Venezia's got the space that Venezia's got. So unless you're going to do something like this, a small floating field, you've got to probably relocate your team to Verona or Vicenza or somewhere.
Well, what they were thinking of is they are thinking of building another stadium. So it depends, I think, if they stay in Serie A. And I think they're also in talks with Udinese to see if they can use their stadium. But I don't think that's happened because they've already done the calendar. So let's see how that pans out. Cute stadium, but yeah. Okay, Bologna. So if you guys go look on YouTube, Bologna is in the process of renovating their stadium, and they have an amazing thing that's going on. As you can see, there's already started the roof. They've already moved it closer, as you can see. So Bologna is on the right path. Right now, their stadium might not be exactly where it needs to be, but in the next few years, Bologna Stadium is going to be one of the ones that probably host one of the games at the Euro or the World Cup. But right now, it's a good stadium. Let me just see. They're going to show us another picture.
Yeah, I like the Dall'Ara. It's a really nice.
Again, Italy built all these running tracks because I suppose at the time it made sense to have a multi-purpose infrastructure to have athletics and football. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
But for viewing wise, that takes away points for me.
It does. Like, it's more of a mental thing because often when I'm at a stadium that does have a running track, I don't even notice it, honestly.
Well, you do too. Like, if you sit on the Primonello Blu at the San Siro, the fact that you're like breathing on the goalie's neck, it does change a lot. Like, I'm not saying you realize it because when you're there, it's like, I'm watching the game, but it changes a lot if you're sitting right above the goal.
Yeah.
It's like, it just brings you closer to the game.
But yeah, unfortunately, we're stuck in a bureaucratic nightmare.
So Bologna is changing this. So they have approval and they're moving forward, and you're going to see that this is going to be a stand now. It's going to look great. Like, they have a really good plan for their stadium. But right now, as it is, the seating's changed. It looks good. I'm going to give it a 6.
Yeah, I would give it about a 5.5, a 6 as well. So let's go 6.
6 it is. I think that might be the last one. Let's just check. Yes, it is. Yep. So if you guys want this videos on YouTube, you guys can go have a look. But with that being said, Italy needs a lot of improvements. There's the same channel that does these videos, does all the other leagues. If you guys have any comments or pushback on what we've given score-wise, please comment and let us know your guys' thoughts. But if you go look at the La Liga stadiums, which, to be honest, I was like, okay, Italy's on par with La Liga. It's not the case. La Liga stadiums are way nicer. France's stadiums are nicer. Germany's stadiums are nicer. So Italy is still theoretically classified the third league in Europe. If we want to stay there, we need to fix our stadiums.
Yeah, I would go as far as arguing that because of Euro 2000 or whichever one it was, even Portugal's stadiums are better.
Yeah, 2004, yeah.
Yeah, so Italy is not in a great way as in terms of stadiums. I think that our mayors and our regional governments should just be allowing foreign investment to do what they're doing. And another thing that was brought to my attention recently is that maybe it would benefit Italian football if Roma and Lazio split from sharing a stadium and Milan and Inter split from sharing a stadium, because then you've got massive teams with huge economic funding and political sway that would be able to get their own stadiums. And then we've gone from 2 good stadiums to 4 good stadiums.
Yeah, but I think more teams need their own stadiums, yeah. So anyway, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. As we mentioned, each day moving up with 10 days of the Serie A, we're going to be doing breakdowns of each team, and we'll bring you guys more content of the Serie A. And then, as I mentioned, we have the green passes. We have hopefully access to some tickets. We're just waiting for confirmation on that. So we'll be taking you guys to the stadiums and giving you guys live views from there as well.
And we will see you tomorrow on the pink table for the breakdowns of Cagliari and Empoli.